And we're back, Swim. How are you doing? Are you ready to cast these last 3 games?
I'm doing great, Panda. The games have not yet started, which means we're going to have to actually
talk about what happened on the desk today, Swim.
Panda, we're not going to talk.
Okay.
Panda, we're not going to talk about that.
But the game has started.
The game has started. We're saved.
We're right back into it.
Thanks,
round
Panda.
1, warm-up round, of course. Not very exciting, let's be honest.
Yep.
So we can just talk about other stuff, maybe.
Panda, we're not going to talk about that. All right, so we get into this game here. I have to agree with the analyst desk in this case. I do think Snofe is kind of the player to beat at this point in time. Although I do really like Cmel. I agree with you on that.
He's consistent placements in his group, in the EU group. But what's a bit of an easier group? I think Snofe and Cmel pretty, kind of smurf their way through that lobby, maybe. Maybe that's disrespectful, but it was quite easy for them. They both had like 60 points, which is not the usual. In the NA group, there was like a top player had like 54 maximum. So I think the winner in this group, Snofe, might end up at like 60 plus again. But the end, second, third, and fourth would be around, I think, 50. It's a good point to go for, or point total.
I think Panda and I might be a little bit biased about Cmel since he hails from Gwent, as both of us do.
We were born in the esports world, but we're now in Underlords. New game, new genre even, so very exciting moment for the viewers, the players, the casters, and everyone involved.
Yep, and we see two stars being completed already just on round 2. Usach on the Bounty Hunter, as well as Forhi on the Tusk. Probably turn this into a Savage build.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Savage. I think they're okay in the early game, but I think in the late game, unless you have, the key pieces, maybe a Summoning Stone, I think they just fall off a tiny bit.
Yeah, no, they're definitely falling off. I think that right now, especially, and particularly in the tournament format, a strategy that's like consistent early, even if it falls off a bit, is going to be very successful.
And Tusk 2 as well, completed. Bounty Hunter 2, the rest are all pretty much paired. We see Enchantress. Fall from Grace was also picked up by Joseph. And I think Fall from Grace kind of tells you, maybe don't go Elusives this time because there's not really much of a human Heartless synergy in Elusives. So I think that's one way to look at it. You get Fall from Grace, you think about your options, trying to use that global to your advantage. If you don't get it, maybe look at other options and don't go Hunters or Knights. Instead, go for something like
Warriors.
Or
I think that in Fall from Grace, your number 1 option is Knights. Your number 2 option is probably Hunters. Just even turning Lycan and being able to kind of like pair that with Drow is really nice. Your number 3 option is probably something involving Warriors. Maybe being able to turn Kunkka into an Heartless is really not bad. But Knights really screams to be the best thing for Fall from Grace.
Right now we're looking at a much more Savage-oriented build there for Joseph. He does have a Tusk, he has the Venomancer, he has the Enchantress, so he could go some form of Savage Heartless. Of course, Lycan has that human tag, the triple tag for him, so it's an option.
Yep, you only really need to be hitting like 1 or 2 efficient humans with Fall from Grace to make it worth it. Of course, not really being worth it to use in something like Mages, because they typically don't want that physical damage and might prefer the silence.
I think we also saw a lot of top players maybe 2 weeks ago with the late game meta, where you had a lot of units that had these crazy AoE spells that you wanted to silence early on and CC abilities. You really wanted the human tag, and many top players would not pick Fall from Grace when it was offered, instead opting to have the humans instead with Kunkka and Lycan, for example. In this case, now the meta has changed radically, and I think AoE and CC spells aren't as prevalent in the late game, which is why Heartless has gained a bit more popularity.
Yeah, absolutely. You can actually see Snofe has picked up an early Summoning Stone, and he's on the Primordial pair. This could actually be, the kind of same build, the 4 Primordial build where he goes Arc Warden with Summoning Stone, if he's not looking to take this into a Savage Druid route.
Yeah, of course, with Summoning Stone, a lot of players think of Savage because they think of the Venomancer, the Plague Wards, the Summon Wolves, of course, Summon Spirit Bear, but you can also go Primordials. Of course, the new Alliance bonus has changed. The little Eidolons, the purple boys that come in to help you out, are, of course, summoned units, and so it can, work well with that.
Yep. See, Cmel is on potentially a Warrior start as well. Could turn this into 6 Warriors. Very diverse lobby so far, as we see BBG potentially thinking about going Knights in this early game.
And it seems there's no one else really on Knights, so it says a lot. It says, maybe no one went Knights last game. People aren't really contesting or touching it all. This might be the time to just go for Knights, get a nice 6-Knight build, and secure a nice top 3 spot maybe for BBG, who really needs the points as well. Maybe not to win the tournament, but to get, that 4th, 3rd, 2nd place. It still rewards a nice chunk of change.
This was a pretty crazy round here. Over 8 upgrades actually found right now. So there's a lot of players' boards that have gotten really, really improved. Well, there's only one board that doesn't have a single 2-star on it.
A very similar board here, a lot of similar units, but of course that 2-star Tiny will maybe. Oh, there's a lot of plasma fields there. It might just be enough there. There's a toss onto the poor Eidolons, who had done nothing but try and help his friends and just gets squished by Queen of Pain. Very sad end to his life.
Yep. See the opening Savage builds on Joseph and Chow Knives. Chow Knives looking like he's in the best position to be turning this into Savage with the level 2 Enchantress already committed onto the board.
And Joseph with a Demon Hunter tag. A few other players also still open to the idea of going for that Anti-Mage Terrorblade combo. It can be splashed into many different comps. Maybe not optimally compared to maybe something like Elusives, but of course the 2-unit combo is very, very good, and it can be splashed into really anything. I mean, Savages, if you find the way, Knights,
Joseph
Warriors.
could be potentially thinking about turning this into an elusive, as we saw was very successful from him earlier today. He wouldn't really be able to use the Fall from Grace in that case, but I mean, if that's what you're given, you have to know as a top player when to kind of like deviate from your pre-planned strategy.
And Enchantress, you can open Savage with her, but because she is a Druid, if you find the Nature's Prophet for Elusive, she can kind of replace Treant until you get him. He is a 3-cost unit, so harder to find him early, for example, to have that Druid pair going. So, yeah, it's very possible he kind of moves into the Elusive camp.
See this 1-star Terrorblade casually doing 3,000 damage at round 6, just as God intended.
Usach, strong opening. We'll see how long it lasts, but he is a player that when he has won games, he's won them in style, dominating the opposition for many, many rounds at the beginning of the game, and looking at round differentials as well. When it comes to tiebreakers, the first tiebreaker in this group will be rounds differential, which means the rounds won minus the rounds lost. And because Usach had such strong wins, with 16-0 streaks at the start of it, his round differential is through the roof. When it comes to ties, he will be beating out so many different players that are maybe even at negative round differentials at the moment.
Yeah, Usach is in the earliest position of being able to complete a big alliance, as he's just like nuking down his opponents. Looks like Chow Knives will take down his top streak here, leaving everybody getting knocked down off the thrones. I like it when games play out like this. Makes things a lot more fair, a lot more interesting. But he's already on the scrappy mage path.
And of course, when all players win or lose, the streaks don't really come into play, so less gold is offered overall. Makes it a bit of a slower game even, maybe. We're going to see no players streaking at the moment, not in losses or in wins.
Yeah,
so
I mean, the range of health here is 5. This is
very even.
Very even.
You play a normal public match, someone's at 60, round 5 maybe, someone's at 100. It's just the disparity is huge. But in this lobby, all these players are oh so close. Maybe Chow Knives a bit farther behind on the standings at least. But in this case, in this lobby right now, super close.
This is a truly crazy lobby, Panda. It is round 8. There's no player that has a super weak board here. Almost every player has 2-star units. Let's take a look at Cmel's board here, who's got 4. 4 out of his 4 units on the board are already upgraded, and he's hitting alliances with all of them.
Yep. The 2 stars early is here's the reroll. Patch, of course, has helped with that. You get the free reroll if you're losing. Get those extra chances for 2 stars and the overflowing of the boards, of course. Huge strategy. We see the bench is completely full for all players, keeping their options open. If they get a random 2-star, maybe you pivot into one strategy from a different one.
Obviously, early Heartless, one of the stronger alliances to complete, especially early. Being able to get like the Pudge 2 and the Drow Ranger 2 early on is always going to lead to a pretty dominant path forward.
And of course, Fall from Grace is here. So you have the Pudge and you have the Drow Ranger, the original, the usual Heartless units. And now you can throw in a few humans. With Warrior, you can put in Kunkka later on, or even the Lycan and Hunters to get that 4 Heartless damage and let that physical damage just slip on through.
Yep, we can see here the new meta where players are simply not leveling at round 9. We see Usach already being level 6 here, prematurely trying to preserve a win streak or just try to like fight for the board. But this is just kind of the new meta. People are just leveling really, really slowly. We might see some players not even leveling to 6 on 13.
Yeah, much more incentives to go slower. You lose 1 less health from 0 to 10, from round 0 to 10, and also, of course, the free reroll means that you can maybe just not spend your gold leveling. Kind of would go back to the old meta, where it used to be just take it slow, get to 50 gold as soon as possible, and then start leveling up. And we might see some players going for that strategy.
And we see Joseph top streaking board at the moment, hitting a very, very powerful early elusive Savage combo.
Here we go again. Joseph made it popular yesterday, had 2 great finishes with elusives, played his first game today again with elusives uncontested, and we might see it happen once again. The pieces are falling into place. He's selling off, getting to that 30 gold, and there's a puck as well. Terrorblade, Anti-Mage, Nature's Prophet, and like we said, I played a game today with this exact opening because Enchantress helps the Nature's Prophet. You get the Tusk early, he's 2 stars, throw him in for the Savage. And then later on when you get to 6 units, 6 elusives, a huge power spike, you throw that all in, add Terrorblade in the 7th, and then all of a sudden, you're dominating.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, then further on, once you're at 9, you go back into elusives, unless your Terrorblade is really important. And then at 10, you just power up to there. You spend all your gold, and then you hit just like, you know, peak Underlords gameplay. And
it's a very unique strategy, I think. For me as a player, for example, I think it suits me very well. I wasn't a big fan of re-rolling. I like just leveling, being very greedy. And this comp incentivizes you to do just that. You kind of want to get to level 10 early, so you don't want to re-roll at all. And because the pieces aren't generally contested, you can find them just in the shop naturally instead of having to re-roll for them. So for players that, you know, like playing greedy, like getting to level 10, it kind of fits that inherent playstyle. So try it out. Maybe force it in a few games, get a few top places, get to Lord maybe.
Yep. So this is the point in the game where everybody is just kind of looking at each other's builds, trying to figure out exactly where they want to be if they're not sure. Some players are kind of already decided. Other players are maybe like taking curves based on what we're seeing. MeNoHaxor and BBG are following a bit of a night path, but BBG could be going into Shadow Shaman for trolls.
Looking at Aegis, snofe has picked it up, so a player that is pretty content in the lead right now in the standings, just needs consistent placements. Aegis might help with that.
Yep. And we've got the classic build that we were talking about just a couple of games ago. Looks like he is going for the 4 Primordial, 3 Mage, 3 Assassin build.
And it looks like he will be winning this round. It's going to be close with a tiny toss there. Double tiny toss. Fantastic alley-oops there from the tinies. Eidolon's in the background helping out as well. It might not be enough. We'll see. Queen of Pain is a resilient unit, but the third toss comes in even. So these tinies, they're practicing their throws for sure.
Joseph hits top streak with the elusives. Man, these elusives just come online in such a powerful early way. Really owing it to Anti-Mage as well as the Druid pair. I gotta say, when we're talking about, you know, the 9 elusive build and what's to go,
we see Joseph with the APM dance with the overflow. So he's really, you know, warming up his fingers, getting ready for that round 25 roll down maybe to get to level 10 and start rolling for those elusive units. It's important, Swim. You're laughing, but you gotta have your fingers warm.
Very true. Very true. Especially if, you know, you're in that cold Canadian air.
Yep, that's also maybe true.
Okay. So Usach here, maybe starting to gear towards an eventual 6 mages. Pretty unlikely that you're going to want to dip into that. Mostly he just doesn't really have a lot to run right here, but he's got a strong board, so he doesn't even necessarily mind. Blade Mail, as we talked about before.
Looks like a brawny comp coming online for Cmel. Of course, playing 2 axes because those kills will come together later on once you make it level 3-star axe. And it's kind of set up for the late game, basically.
Yeah, Brawny just does too well against the mages. Just being able to survive their burst. They're really, really good counter strategy. So you see the Knights player is falling behind and struggling to keep up here.
And again, now the disparity between the players quite a bit bigger. Of course, the game has gone on for quite a few more rounds. We're at round 12 right now, entering the mid-game transition. And we see some players dropping down to almost 60 HP, although comparing to other games in the past groups where Joseph was, you know, hitting 38 HP at round 13, everyone just a tiny bit healthier, much, much closer.
Well, 6 is here. BBG and Chow Knives are still 5. I'm curious to see how common of a strategy it will be to not even level to 6 on 13, but both take it.
Looking at Joseph, it looks like he's still on the Tusk Enchantress. We're going to see, I think, at the point he finds Tree and Protector and enough elusive units, I think he will transition into 6 elusives because it is a big power spike, even if he has the 2-star Tusk and the 2-star Enchantress.
Yeah, I think this path he's chosen shows really good restraint. He got the early fall from grace, and like, you know, your average player says this, look at this and be like, oh, okay, I have to probably go Knights, but if not, at least go Hunters or something that can use this. But it's a little bit more complicated than that. That's true in general, but if you're on, you know, a good enough path that you can't use this, or if it's open enough, or other players are on what you're thinking about, you definitely need to learn to avoid traps like this.
And this is, I think, the hardest part of the game here for Joseph, is transition, where he has to go from what he has now, the 2 stars and the general board strength, to what he has on his bench. The bench is, tells you a clear direction of what he's going for. He has the Terrorblade upgrades, he has the pucks, he has the Wind Ranger that keeps Dragonite option open as well. It's an option with puck maybe for the mid game. Because of course you hit 6 elusives and then you hit 9 elusives, but in that break period from 6 to 9, you can throw in a Dragonite, you can throw in a Slark, for example, to complete Assassins as well. So it really does depend. He keeps his options open as well. He sells a Dragonite, so.
Yep, and there's the Terrorblade upgrade as well, which is going to do extremely well with his Helm of the Undying. And we talked a bit about, Slark versus Terrorblade, when you want to go Slark, when you want to go Terrorblade. When Terrorblade is uncontested, it's usually better, but one of the other things is that it's going to depend on your anti-mage progress. 5 anti-mages by round 13. This is the kind of signal to you that says, okay, AM's going to 3 stars, let's go Terrorblade.
Of course, Terrorblade is not only a great unit by himself, but when he comes in, he doesn't only have his own boost for the 2 Demon Hunters, but anti-mage also gets more damage. If you have a 3-star anti-mage, that, it's going to affect the board even more if you have Terrorblade over Slark. Also, the items. The Helm of the Undying, I think, is probably the best option on Terrorblade, better than Blink Dagger, of course, with the elusive build. Whereas if you had maybe Mask of Bandage, you would consider the Slark instead. So very small, subtle things, but it can really change your game plan at the very end.
Let's check out Chow having a pretty rough game on a fairly similar path to Joseph, just not nearly as successful in this case on the 3 elusive 3 assassin.
A rough game and a rough, group overall. The very bottom of the standings. Has to hope for a lot of first places to kind of come back into it. Of course, this is 1 game and 2 more games after this one. There are options, but first place looks to be, I think, just too far away from him right now.
Yeah, as mentioned, this is just a really, really high, powerful lobby. I mean, you saw some crazy, crazy power spikes as early as like round 5 or 6. Like most players were rocking double 2 stars, which is just kind of nuts. So, I mean, if you fall behind just a little bit, this lobby will eat you alive.
The Wolves are cleaned up. Of course, Treant, some big, powerful punches coming from him. Just smackdowns.
Yep. So Snofe is on his fairly irregular, unorthodox, but very intriguing primordial path here. Looking for 1 more Tiny or 2 more Razors.
And Cmel is still streaking with the Brawny, so very impressive. We're going to look at the kill count for his different units just to get an idea. 12 on, not too crazy. Ooh, 21 on Axe.
21 on Axe. That's quite high for an Axe.
Those gloves really helping him out, huh?
We're on a lot of early 3-star paths already with a double pudge picked up by Cmel.
When you're going for 3 stars, it feels bad to have them on the bench because they're 2-star units, so you just throw it all in, have it all at the same time. Ooh.
There's the Tiny and the Razor going up to number 8.
Very early 3-star there. Round 16, 3-star Tiny. That is not bad at all.
Yep, and this is going to help Snofe start to power spike. This is kind of where the build starts to come online. It needs like 7 or 8 units to really, really get there.
Massive toss. Stunning the DPS as well in Luna and Batrider. And of course we have just pretty strong frontline from Tiny. He does everything good.
Yep. And these Eidolons, normally they're kind of wimps, but we have the double summoning stone, an increase of 300 health and 90 attack speed. That means they're almost attacking at double speed, because attack speed is percentage increase off base.
This is starting to really form together. We see the bench as well, a lot of interesting options. Arc Ward in there as well to complete Primordials with Morphling also on the bench. So Snofe is teasing us. He says, prepare for what's coming. I have double summoning stone. The Eidolons will be everywhere. We're normally used to seeing banana boys everywhere, but this time gonna be the grape boys instead.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by this Cmel build. Looks like he's taking it in a very similar direction as we commented on the last game, possibly the 4 Brawny, 6 Warrior kind of path with Scaled.
I like it. I'm a fan.
Yeah,
I know it's him.
Yeah, I think it's proven to be a pretty outstanding build, honestly. It's just very, very resilient against everything.
That's a huge toss from Tiny, just throwing everyone all over the place. He does not care at all.
And it looks like Cmel is going to get knocked down on his 95 health thrown here by Snofe's recently acquired Tiny 3 stars. It just goes to show the power of that early 3-star completion.
Yeah, it's a huge power spike. Boards that were, recently at, like we said, 95 HP streaking all along. All of a sudden they find a board that's at 57, who hits a spike, and then all of a sudden they're losing. So very, very good for Snofe there.
Yep. And Usach's early streak with Scrappy Mages is still having a rough time stabilizing in the mid-game, unfortunately. It's really dependent on like some early 3-star progress to really keep things kind of in the running. But at this point, he's just looking to complete his front lines 2 stars.
Yeah, it's a very slow Tinker. I mean, still 1-star. Clockwork as well, still 1-star. Not what we want to see. Normally, units that aren't very contested, you normally get them to 2 to 3 stars very early. But round 18 and still 1-star, that's worrying. If I was USAT, I would be very worried.
Exactly, and it's his frontline too. Like, check this out. It's really important to have your frontline develop before your backline. We see Tinker melt, Clockwork melt, and the fight is basically going to be really hard to come back from. The nukes are there. The Bounty Hunter is going down here, and the Timbersaw might be able to clutch this. Pudge has a hook, but the Laguna Blade is coming back up. 1 second, and it's there. That's not a strong Laguna Blade.
It's going to be a very boring battle here. Pudge, of course, great tank, but very slow, and I don't know why he chose to switch targets. This Pudge is not very smart. I don't know what. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look very smart either, so let's be honest. Unit. 6 Knights there as well. We saw, I believe it is for BBG. So again, Knights not very contested. He finds his 6 Knights fairly early. A lot of 2-stars there as well. Abaddon missing though. That's a big surprise. And on the bench, a bit of a surprise waiting just in case. Throw in the quick 2 Demon Hunters and see what happens. Oop, there's the Abaddon.
There's a little bit of pair. It's going to help him complete up to some stuff later. And he's benching the 2 Demon Hunters. That's kind of like what you eventually want to go for when you're like level 9 maybe.
Cmel, Pudge 3 maybe has gained a few more brain cells. Maybe can hit the right target next time, but
probably not.
At least he's going to be much beefier at 3 stars.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter what target he's attacking then.
He just throws that hook, whatever he hits.
Yep.
Good enough.
Cmel resecuring his position in this lobby. I think he is still top board at this point.
Kanka looks huge. That's a great ghost ship. Hits a ton of targets. Juggernaut spinning to his heart's content.
And these warrior brawnies are just so incredibly hard to kill. They can outlast most anything. The Spirit Bearer looks like it's taking them down though. Big hook on Enchantress.
5,000 IQ.
Pudge does not look like he has this. For he takes it.
It's still very close battles between these players. Razor 3 was also acquired here by Snofe, so to another big upgrade. But still, level 7. Has some great units on the bench, but at 1 star, and he has to go all the way to 8 to put them in.
Yep, we hit that magical around 20. This is where the game really, really picks up and players start dropping like flies.
Of course, there will be a creep round now, so a bit of a breather for all these players that are very low. Going down to 37, 38 HP, for example. You have the chance to regroup, try and stabilize. Maybe after this creep round, roll down a bit, try and find some more pairs or level 3s.
And all eyes on the bottom boards. These are the 3 boards between Chao Knives, Usach, and MeNoHaxor that need to be looking for stabilization paths here.
Very quick creep round here. Impressive.
All right. So if you're Usach, you're kind of like in a unique position here with your Scrappies. You're kind of the only person on Scrappies. Typically, we've seen like a very consistent like 1 Scrappy per lobby average across all these games. And I think I like being the Scrappy person in most of these lobbies. There's going to be a lot of games where you're going to be able to finish like 2nd or 3rd quite easily. It's a build that falls off a bit though.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too comfortable. I mean, if you have to, you know, sometimes you just got to go for what's uncontested. But I don't think it's like in that top tier of builds at the moment, so I don't think you'd feel too good with it, right? You'd feel okay with it.
I'd feel okay with it.
Content. Satisfied.
I'm pretty satisfied. So Usach here, he's pretty far from the upgrades, which is kind of the most unfortunate thing. At this point, you'd really like to be on, you know, the upgraded Shredder at least.
Juggernaut 3 for Cmel as well. He was going brawny, so all of a sudden that's going to get a lot more kills with his spinning blades of destruction.
Yep, Usach shooting the worst board possible in the form of Snofe. But the big single target AoE might actually have this. It does look
huge
like
toss though and stun as well. Is it enough though?
Laguna Blade on the tiny, just Eidolons. These Eidolons are super powerful. Oh my god!
The great boys, it's happening.
The summoning stone, the double summoning stone on this Eidolons is actually just chunking these mages. They're going down.
That's pathetic. You can't lose to great boys.
Yeah,
you had 4 units alive still, Swim. I would just quit the lobby. I'd be like, all right, next. Banana boys, okay, but purple boys, come on.
That's pretty rough.
That's might be mentally tilting. He's gonna have to regroup after that loss there.
As you mentioned, the Juggernaut completing, joined by the Beastmaster, looking for the axe as the final completion. And I gotta say, this Brawny build, he's completing everything. He's 1 axe away from a 4-3-star in round 22.
That's scary. He had the Scaled as well come in. He had Doom before, but now Tidehunter is found. pairs up with a Slardar. Again, no one goes Tidehunter unless you're playing 6 warriors. For the most part, there just normally isn't space or time to get him to level 2, which is where he becomes more effective. And this is getting very meaty. Might be lacking a bit of DPS. Beastmaster the only real huge DPS unit, but could get scary.
Yep. I gotta say, Panda, I would have liked to see Cmel pick up that Witch Doctor he just declined. When you've got Fall from Grace, you're pairing the Heartless in the form of your Kunkka and your Pudge. Usually, you need the Necrophos for that. You're looking for, you know, the additional Troll, often to be able to get with your Troll Warlord at the end. So, could be a decent curve after he finds the Troll to get a Witch Doctor level 2 in there.
Although definitely I think more of a placeholder, because you're at 3 Brawnies right now, and the 4th Brawny is a Warlock. So when you find Disruptor, I think you just throw him in there. He doubles all of a sudden the health on these units. Yep. And Axe, Juggernaut, and Beastmaster become meat shields, absolute meat shields with a ton of HP that become very, very hard to kill. And talking about Disruptor, look what we see there in the shop. There it goes, and now the 4 Brawny is complete. Round 23, and we're going to be seeing maybe not the craziest health pools, but still a very good buff there.
How does Axe have more kills than this Beastmaster? That is nuts.
I have to look at the replay there. That's very, very strange to see.
Beastmaster heating up at 4,000 health. This is nothing compared to what you're going to see at the end of this game, though.
The Rager's Plasma Field just went off, and it did absolutely nothing to the health pools. I think it's just too much for these mages to handle.
These Purple boys just feeding kills.
Yeah.
Free health for the rest of the game.
That's one, yeah, it's very subtle, but you're very right, Swim. Free kills. The Plague Orge as well.
It's a good meta to be Brawny boys in.
Yeah. You see those summoning stones come up, you're like, oh yeah, come to Papa.
All right. Chow Knives, the pressure is on here, buddy. You have 14 health and no Aegis, looking for a Queen of Pain 3. You've got 3 rolls before you have to start selling stuff. One more roll to find it. Doesn't hit it. He might need to feel like he's got to start selling stuff. Very awkward position. Though? On a kind of assassin hybrid here.
Ooh, he locked. So, I mean, Phantom Assassin, a very interesting option. It is currently at 7 different units. He needs 9 for the level 3. So one more brings him up to 8. And another out as well with Queen of Pain.
Chow Knives is assuming he's going to stay alive here, which is what you're going to need. But he hits Joseph, also on an extremely similar path on the elusive build.
Now, Assassins, the crits are definitely good against elusives. Are they good enough, though? It looks like they are. I mean, they're doing a good amount of damage here. Terrorblade has come online, though, and the front slap, back slap comes in. The dodges from the Templar Assassin.
This Terrorblade could be a little too much. I mean, the bear has to root it. Oh, the root! The Terrorblade goes down. It persists even with the Helm of the Undying. Those extra 2 attacks aren't doing enough, and Chow Knives holds.
So very calculated risk there from Chow Knives at 14 HP. He would have survived there. There weren't enough units if he would have lost at that point with Terrorblade going off, but it gets scary. You need to find these pairs right now. Queen of Pain and also the Phantom Assassin.
Yep. Phantom Assassin gives him 2 outs to complete 2 big 3-star units.
4 gold.
Yep, he's got 2 rolls. But he can wait to roll on this round.
Of course,
the creep round.
He has 4 different outs here, so a very good number to have when you're rolling. Want to have, you know, definitely 2 or more to feel good about the roll value.
Yeah, 4 opportunities basically to improve your board immediately. Everything on his bench, if he hits it, it immediately upgrades his board.
I had a game today with 6 outs. Next pack, 3 outs right there. Felt so good.
Yeah.
Value.
All right. This is going to be where the pressure is really on. 4 players, almost potentially one-shottable. You see MeNoHaxor's Nightboard has stabilized. Much to BBH's chagrin, or BBG's, sorry.
And 2 Knight players, a very, you know, good number. More than 2 gets a bit sketchy. If you're alone, you're feeling very good, but 2, you're still feeling content, satisfied, like when you play Scrappies.
All right. Chow Knives, the pressure is still on. He's at naked 14 health. Snofe hits his Arc Warden too. Also, another player that needs to be looking for stabilizers. He has the Aegis, however. Chow Knives does not. He's looking for a Queen of Pain, 3. A PA, 3.
Round 25 is resolving. Gold will come in. And Chow Knives will find out if the RNG gods like him, and they like him a lot. Chow is in business once again. Finds 2 of his 4 outs. Phantom Assassin still a huge roll there. Of course, only 1 gold, so cannot get it right now.
Yep. And with the recently acquired Mask of Manas he just picked up, that could actually be pretty devastating. He might be on something like a top 4 path easily. We're going to have to see if this improvement is enough. Octarine Essence on the Queen of Pain. 3-second cooldown. I'd love to see her frontlined with this cooldown.
He's facing snofe here. A lot of level 3s. The Tiny Talk can come in 2 seconds. Treant gets tossed to the back. The Eidolons come in as well, very strong with double Summoning Stone, and it might just not be enough. We see Queen of Pain non-stop screams, but it's just not enough. Treant gets taken down.
And everything goes down. That's going to be a lot of damage here. It's extremely close to lethal at 14, and he survives at 1 health against Snofe's board. Usach needing to stay alive at 17. These bears have him, though. That's going to be a lot of damage as well. Even just for 17, he's down to 8 after that.
And Cmel with his brawny boys still at 62 HP, round 26. Very, very healthy. We talked about him needing to form a comeback in these last 3 games. Started off at 6th today, moved up to 3rd, and he's looking very good for another top 3 placement today. 4 HE finds the Slark 3. That's a really huge upgrade as well.
But everyone is at the end of the ropes here. We have 2 more rolls. 1 more roll to find the PA. He whiffs it. Very, very unfortunate.
Also not found. 4 HE, 15 HP, finds the Slark 3, finds the Mask of Madness, and this board is also looking very scary
upgrades
right now.
all around. MeNoHaxor is upgrading. People that aren't upgrading are going to start dropping like flies. Snofe has an Aegis, BBG, 4 HE, and Chow Knives are all about to potentially die on this last board. We see Chow Knives versus Joseph. We saw this match before. He hits some upgrades. He has to feel like he has a chance here.
The Terrorblade is what we have to watch here when he starts, when the Metamorphosis happens and the backhand, front hand starts happening. All these units are going to start dropping very quickly, but look at this. I think it might just be too late here.
Focused down too much. Chow Knives is repelling. BBG gets knocked out in 8th place as Chow Knives secures the repel. 4 HE is up next against Cmel at 15 health, and it looks like Cmel is good. Oh, sorry, 4 HE is good. Cmel ends up taking damage there.
So Cmel's reign finally comes to an end, takes a few points of damage. Joseph as well, very healthy, but does drop there against Chow Knives. So all of a sudden these boards, some might have stabilized, some with all the gold still intact. 76 for Joseph. Might have to start thinking about trying to equal the boards on the bottom. The boards that have spent the gold, have powered up, and are now going to currently start equalizing the top boards.
Chow Knives hit the TA upgrade. Not on the PA, though, and that's a really, really big one. PA being contested by Joseph. They're both looking for it. Joseph's rolling down a little bit more.
And Joseph still, I mean, he needs to get to level 10. He's still level 8. When you want to go for elusive, you want to get that full build going, you need to get level 10. So he has a lot of gold to spend still. C4HE
versus Joseph. Slark level 3 with Mask of Madness. Tap, tap, tapping.
It's going off, and nothing is touching it. Still full health. Can anything stop this Slark?
Nothing is going to go through. The scaled buff is giving it 50% magic, 30% magic resist, and this Slark was just going to take out this entire board.
Usach does get knocked out by Snofe in the process, ends up 7th. So a player that was, near the top in the leaderboards.
Chow Knives versus Cmel. It looks like Chow Knives has this axe. Will survive at 1 HP. This 1 HP is helping him. Managed to stabilize up to 2 placements based on that.
And once he finds the out he has on his bench, he might, really stabilize even further. So it's already looking good.
He's got 1 roll. He doesn't find it. He can't roll deeper without being able to having to sell something to hit it, which you can't do here.
Could always lock, of course, as well. It's an option. MeNoHaxor finds the Armored Knight, a player that just got a loss this last round. Needs to find upgrades as well. Has gold to spend, still 25. Of course, we're near creep round. Players might decide, 1 more round, I can make it, I can get the extra interest for the creep round, and then spend down.
Yep. We see the 3-star Luna on MeNoHaxor. It's carrying him, but we're going to watch Joseph against MeNoHaxor's 3-star Luna. Joseph recently just pumped all the way up to 10. He's got the 9 elusives and the Terrorblade. The build is complete.
This is the power spike we're talking about. If he loses here, that's a terrible sign, but with, 10 units and the Terrorblade, with the evasion and the Helm of the Undying, I believe it has it as well, it's just looking so good for Joseph. Hits that power spike, and he should be good for the next few rounds.
This is a build that you want to be playing against Knives. Elusive exists to counter his Knives as Chow Knives gets knocked out in 6th place. Not able to find that PA. Incredibly unfortunate industry for him, but if you're Joseph, PA's back on the menu, boys. He's looking for 2 more for this upgrade.
Of course, he has already spent his gold, so the big discharge of his economy has already gone down, but still a chance to, start rolling.
No, he sold his PAs out completely to hit that upgrade, actually. He's not looking for them at all.
I think he knew that if he hits the power spike at level 10, it's just so much, he just becomes so much more powerful. And he's looking good. This looks like a top 3 or top 2 even game for Joseph, I think.
Yep. All right. creep around on 30. MeNoHaxor is looking for 2 more Chaos Knights, and we see the economies start to burn. Check out the gold on the left side. snofe, MeNoHaxor, and Cmel all have economies left. Cmel is rolling down. He's not looking for too much, though, as these dinosaurs are causing quite the fuss. Cmel's board is tanky enough to just be able to beat them here. With dinos, you kind of have 2 strategies. You can kind of just outlast them, because they typically only just use their heal or regen once, or you can try to like silence and burst them down. But the Warriors does the former strategy just perfectly.
Yeah, stuns are also fantastic. Things like Witch Doctor, for example, do a really good job of just telling them, you know, chill for 2 seconds, let me kill you, and then you can wake up again.
Yep.
Or just you're dead, so no.
We're going to have to start seeing some rolls pretty soon. We have Aegis.
Moonshard acquired for 2 players. Very good item for the DPS carries like Luna, for example.
Yep. Moonshard is going to be absolutely massive for MeNoHaxor. Cannot stress enough how massive of an upgrade this is to this board.
Skull Basher on the Troll Warlord has to be careful. There we go. Okay, back in the business.
MeNoHaxor just hit a ridiculous power spike there. I think he's the board to beat right now. I think he's over Joseph's and Snofe's, but Elusive's might counter its playstyle a bit too much.
4HE with that Slark, I mean, if that Slark goes untargeted, things can happen, and all of a sudden you're looking at a Slark that's unstoppable, so it's going to depend a lot on the targeting. A lot can happen here.
4HE against MeNoHaxor. This is absolutely huge. And we hit the unfortunate bug right now, which is going to make it impossible to see this board.
We can guess, though.
Yes, we can.
Who wins, Swim? I believe in Slark.
Yeah,
I think Slark does it.
I do in this case.
We can tab and look at, you know, current standings, current comps as well. A lot of 3 stars. We see, of course, snofe still hanging in there with his Summoning Stone, Purple Boys, Eidolon built, and a few items there as well. Scotty on the Viper. Two level 2 Vipers as well. Joseph does get knocked out with his Elusive, so
yeah,
unfortunate for him. Top 5, maybe not as good as he was expecting with that huge power spike at level 10.
Yep. And snofe manages to stay alive on his huge streak here.
Round 31 is resolving. 4 seconds to go. Gold will be rewarded. And a few... Ooh, Cmel gets defeated by snofe. So down to 23 HP. Maybe his reign is finally ending. Going to start losing more HP now as well. And all players have pretty much spent their gold. Down to 15 for snofe and under 10 for the rest. So these boards will be essentially pretty final, I think.
Yep, snofe just beating 2 players there. We're going to check out 4HE's board. I think MeNoHaxor has the stronger board. Snofe still has his Aegis.
Tidehunter on the bench. One more Tidehunter could mean he swaps that in for something different. He does have the Slark already there, but the Slark, of course, just complete skilled anyway, so it's not essential, I think.
4HE against Cmel. Cmel can withstand a loss. 4HE
Slark
cannot.
is going off. Looking healthy. The lifesteal really helping out there. Just keeps on going. Stabbing and stabbing and stabbing.
Oh, he gets powered down
there.
And that's going to be it. 4HE gets knocked out here. That's all she wrote, ending the game in 4th place as we see MeNoHaxor versus snofe finish up.
The Great Boys do it again. What is... Oh, my goodness. Yep. Mino, was it him as well last time it happened?
I don't believe so. But
so possibly 2 players disgraced in this game by the Great Boys. Absolutely pathetic display there from Disruptor, losing to some summoned purple spirits.
Yeah, it was Usach in the last case.
Cmel gets the Slardar 3, and let's look at Cmel's board because he was going brawny, and I'm curious to see what kind of kills this Beastmaster's on with Moonshard. Level 353, so getting a respectable 36, 39. Axe has fallen back. Only gloves there, of course, so it doesn't have that Moonshard speed to help him out.
MeNoHaxor at 6 health without an Aegis hits Cmel's board on the Brawny, and I think the Knights have to be good here. They're doing a lot of physical damage. It's going to be reduced by this armor.
I don't know, man. These a lot of 3-star units here that do a lot of damage.
Luna is just chunking a little too fast, but Knights have to hold up long enough.
The Kunkka ship is pretty big on the Luna as well to silence the DPS. Juggernaut doing pretty much nothing with his spinning Blade Fury.
Luna's
not very impactful at all.
Luna dodges the hook. That's really, really good positioning earlier. And it looks like that's not enough. MeNoHaxor is going to go down here, getting knocked out by Cmel, unless this Omni can pull something out.
Helm of the Undying, not enough to kill any units, so it's going to be full damage from 3 units here. 2 3-stars as well from Cmel.
And that's
MeNoHaxor gets down and
snofe loses.
Are we surprised that snofe and Cmel are both in top 2?
I'm not.
Because these are both my favorites.
Yeah.
Both at the top of the leaderboards. And Cmel, again, we talked about it, had to get great placements today. Came into the day 6th. He's currently 3rd. going to get some points here to jump over Forhy, who finished 4th. And I can't say I'm surprised. You're 2 great, fantastic players.
These are my 2 favorites as well, Panda. But Snofe did just lose that last board against the Phantom board by Cmel. He has the Arc upgrade in the shop.
I mean,
gonna do anything on
let's
this
be
board,
honest. Snofe is going to finish 2nd. That's kind of his
seems
trademark.
likely.
His trademark
This could
move.
be it. This could be the final fight. It's round 34. Needs to survive 1 more to go into the creep round. Huge toss to open the fight. Ravage to come in. Huge acid spray. This acid spray is adding so much damage to this board, but doesn't look like the Arc Wardens have it.
Ooh, the Beastmaster going low, though. One of the big... Ooh, the Wild Actors there might have done just enough. Slardar also pummeling the little purple boys.
I don't
Maybe
know
not
if
their time to
anything
shine.
can kill these tanky units. I think it's just too much.
Viper there as well. The last Eidolon. Viper goes down.
That's it. That's enough damage. And we have our 2nd place legend, Snofe, holding that title strong. Panda, how many times is that now?
Enough to not surprise me. I mean, that is just... we called it. It's going to get 2nd.
It's something like 10. It really it's
But
really
style
ridiculous.
points to Snofe. 2 Summoning Stones. Eidolons. Disgraced 2 opponents. You know, mentally tilted them for the next 2 games. Maybe they're just going to be, you know, thinking, oh, how can I lose to fucking Eidolons? I got excited. Throw it to the panel, please.